Okay, let's get this one stripped out then properly. I'm going to whip the speaker out for safekeeping. So I want to clean that anyway, because 9 times out of 10 they accumulate a massive grime in behind the grill. Just had a quick look at the other R600s that I've got left. I've got 2 in like a mustard colour in this particular model, and the other 2 are the older version with the mesh grill. So not got many of these left now. As I say, just sold one the weekend, well, last week actually. Come on. So I'll be on the lookout for some more of these in non-working condition. Right, that's a speaker. I've got this troublesome little jack inside on these, in underneath there. That's got to come off, or I've got to desolder the wires. But I think this time I'll just take it out. You know, I've got my little tool for getting it out now, if I can find it. What have I done with it? Put it somewhere safe. Ah, there it is. Just makes it a little bit easier for testing if you can get that out. You don't need to worry then about bridging the wires out. So this is the only tool I know of that you can get these out with, so. There we are. So that's the case out the way. As you can see, the speaker is pretty dusty. Really dusty. Let's get this out of the way. Right, let's have a closer look at the chassis then. There, it's all out. Okay, doesn't look like this one's been worked on before, which is always good news. Everything seems to be there intact. Is in pretty good condition, but unfortunately not working, but it will be soon once I get that module out and pop the new one back in. There is a couple other things I should have done first actually, and I think I may do that in a minute. And what I'll do is I'll just pop some switch cleaner in the switch bank, and I'll also pop some switch cleaner in the volume potentiometer there. Just double check that that's all okay. As I say, I go steaming into these things pretty much knowing what's wrong, but not sharing it. So I'm gonna pop some Servasol in there. Then what we'll do is pop the battery back in and just give it a second try. Switches need a good work out. probably going to be reluctant to get rid of this radio because it's a red one. I've got two of the mustard ones, so I might keep this one and sell one of the mustard ones. You never know. I never know till I do and whether I'm going to keep them or not. So I'm just really going over the buttons. Right, I've given that a good going over now. So it's worth just trying it again now, just to make sure. Because the other thing I need to look at is the oh dear me, no, still the same. Yeah, the only other thing I need to have a look at, just make sure that the headphone socket's not shorted. So let's well, not open circuit, I mean. Let's just short that together. Exactly the same. No, dead module is the diagnosis. So I'm just going to pop my gear on. I'm going to desolder this switch bank. Again, these end pieces got to come off. They're actually a lot better on the bottom side than they are on the top side. That's good news because they did look a bit ropey on that side. So I'll swap them round when I do the reassembly. So pop the two knobs off and do the aerial. Pop the aerial out. Good aerial on that one as well. Just got to desolder the headphone jack, and I've got to desolder the car aerial socket. I noticed on this one as well that the actual tuning control is a bit wonky, so I need to tighten up that screw on the left hand side just to bring that back level. It's been rubbing on the casing here, that you can see it. In fact, both have, so that's going to need a polish as well, more elbow grease. Okay, I've desoldered the aerial connections. So it's just a bit of braid goes to the body of it, and this little brown one off of the main centre tag. And I've also, where am I? Done the same up here for the headphone socket. It's just a red and an orange. And there's also a little wire one in underneath it, if you can see it, that just connects onto the back pin here. So that's all off. So basically the front panel should now pop off. There we go. As I say, that's pretty grubby, that one. So I'm going to have a look at that just to make sure that that's okay, but that might have to come out. I don't really want to take it out. As I say, it's actually really good condition, that dial plate. I can't see any light through it at all, so hopefully can keep it that way. It'll need the usual polish up, unfortunately. Yeah. No, looking good, that one. So let's put that to one side, out of the way, out of harm's way. So this is the little screw I just need to tighten to bring that into line, that tuning dial. I'll do it now while I remember it. Inside looks fine, just a little bit dusty, not too bad actually. That's a little bit loose for some reason. Anyway, next task is to desolder this, pop the 2 screws out, ease it off and back out the way, ready for module attack. So I'm going to do that next. Join me in a second. Okay, I've just used the desoldering tool to remove most of the solder from that. I've lifted a couple connections here. I've lifted the grey wire from there, and I've lifted this FM aerial wire which goes over to the switch bank off of this pin here. Just seeing if any of these are desoldered. Lift the pads. No. So unfortunately these wires are bent over on the board, so just desoldering them alone doesn't always get them off. You usually need a little bit of persuasion. That's that one. That's that one. So try not to just prise them up, because these are very, very dodgy, these pads. Just very gently does it on these. Just literally going in and lifting the edges of the wire up. There we are. I think I desoldered all these last time, but see how we get on. Those off. Right. So bear with me, I'm just going to get my magnifier in there, bend these little tabs up. Okay, that's all the wires disconnected now. I've just got to remove the switch bank itself. Just unscrews, but bear in mind, which I missed last time, there is brass spacers in there on both, so I put it back in together last time without the spacers in before I started soldering, and the buttons were like way up out of the way. I think I know better, I've done enough of these now, but there you go. As I say, this is a little bit more awkward than the older version to do, because the older one I can do without removing the switch bank, because you're working through a little tiny slot. It's easier to remove the switch bank on these newer ones. Right, the only ones I've got to remove now are these bent over wires which hold the board to the module. There we are, the beast emerges. Off with the switch bank, little spacers out of the way before I lose them. Strangely enough, the wiring is very slightly different to my last module. These two wires here, for some reason, are crossed on this one. So I'm going to have to have a look at the circuit diagram on that. I'm assuming that Roberts haven't got it wrong from the factory, but you never know. to say that's all out the way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift off these module wires one by one, because I'll be reusing them when I tack the new one on. Okay, so I've got to lift those off. I've got to bend this one up that's attached to the board here. Get glare there. Yeah. So let's get you out of the glare a bit. So yeah, I've got to desolder these little wires off the top of the module pins. These are the module pins you can see on the bottom of the board there coming out the holes. So I've got one here that is bent over and soldered to the board, so you've got to make sure you desolder that one very well. If you don't and you bend it, you'll pull the trace right off. So that's that side of the module. Over this side, over the other side here, again this is all bent over the top of the pins on this board. There's some module pins here, 1, 2 there and 2 here. They've got to be desoldered. Blue wire goes to one of them, that. And when that's done, it'll just drop out. I wish. Now it should come out fairly easy once that's desoldered. So I'm going to get at that in a minute. Join me again in a minute and it'll be out.